Good morning, everyone. I'm Dimple Jeswal, member of GIT family. I'm associated with Computer Science Department. Firstly, I want to welcome you all audience present over here. Today's workshop is based on machine learning. Machine learning has been one of the hottest topic of discussion among the C-suite. The machine learning market is expected to grow at a compound level growth of 44.1% during the forecast period. And if you are keen to know what is the future of machine learning, then you are on the right place. By not taking so much time, let's welcome our guest, Professor R.A. Gupta, Honorable VC, Rajasthan Technical Institute, Kota. Sir has a vast knowledge in the field of electrical engineering. Sir has over 35 years of experience in the teaching and research area. He has published over 200 research papers in international national journals and conferences. He has organized 3 conferences and 7 FDPs and many more in the institute. He was the part of international conference held in Switzerland, Spain and London. He discussed research possibilities in Greenwich University, London. He has designed and developed Power Electronics Lab, R&D Lab sponsored MHRD projects. Now I would like to welcome our next great personality, Professor Dhirendra Mathur. He is a professor at Rajasthan Technical University, Kota. Sir is coordinator of TechWeb Third. Sir is expert in antenna and RF engineering. He has published many papers and has many citations. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me introduce to you our next guest and today's speaker, Ms. Kusum Kumari Bharti. Ms. Kusum is an assistant professor at PDPM, Indian Institute of Information Technology Design and Manufacturing, Jabalpur. Earlier, she was in MANIT Bhopal from 2015 to 2016. She is expertise in machine learning, data science, and Python. She has organized many workshops. She has published many papers. Welcome, ma'am. Our students are very eager to learn from you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and good morning to all of you.
Now, today I'm very privileged to have opportunity to introduce most dashing and young personality, our CEO and Society Secretary of GIT. He is the Director of Technology in Kandoi Matter Power Manufacturing Company Private Limited. He is BS in Mechanical Engineering from Purdue University. He has done MS from Imperial College London. His approach to work is pragmatic and uncompromising on fundamental ideals of truthful value generation for stakeholders and engineering ethics. Welcome, sir. Now I would like to hand over to Mr. Naman Kandoi, sir. Over to you, sir. Over to you, Naman, sir. Okay, I think it seems some technical problem. Naman sir is not.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. Okay, sorry, I got disconnected. I suddenly had a electricity cut in my area.
Okay, sir. So your video is not online.
Yeah, I'm just starting this.
Okay, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank RTU and Professor Dhirendra Mathur, sir, for organizing this 15-day workshop for our students. I believe that machine learning is an up-and-coming field that is important for all our students to learn and practice on. And I have a little presentation and we'll get through it. why it's important for other branches outside of CSIT also. I also welcome Dr. Kusum Kumari Bharti ma'am for taking time out and being here for our students today. Now, without much further ado, I'd like to start my presentation. First of all, I hope all the students are safe and doing well at home. Classes have been going on for a month, and I understand that using technology in place of being physically present is a bit of a challenge. However, we have to do the best we can with the current scenario. Now, this short presentation, I'll just take 2 to 3 minutes, is why we must all be acquainted with machine learning. I'm sure most of you are aware of who Mark Cuban is. He's a billionaire investor, famously on Shark Tank very often. And he famously said that if you don't know machine learning and deep learning at a fundamental level, regardless of what you do, you will become a dinosaur in 3 years. What he's trying to say is that it's not just for CSIT students. This is a technology which is going to revamp how we live in our society today. So everybody must be well acquainted with this. There is a lot of misinformation regarding machine learning and artificial intelligence in general, and I'd like to clear some of that. ML is based on very simple ideas of algebra and statistics. Most of it is purely regression, pattern recognition, and memorizing. It has been around since 1950s. It's come to the forefront today, but it has been there for a long time. You remember you used to draw a best fit line on a graph where you had different data points. If you can draw a best fit line, you can understand machine learning. In machine learning, programming and algorithm knowledge is important. However, the most important factor is domain knowledge. And this is why we must have people from various domains such as mechanical, electrical, business, banking, finance, law, everybody to bring in their domain knowledge, have a basic fundamental understanding of machine learning to provide the best solutions there can be. Now, artificial intelligence can be broken up into 2 major chunks. One is modular programming, which is the forte of CSIT students and professors. Here, the programmer must be aware of logic. Now, why artificial intelligence or machine learning as a part of AI is for everyone is that an ML engineer only has to make data compatible for the algorithms of machine learning. And the algorithm will extract the logic on its own. So you do not need programming logic whatsoever beyond a certain basic understanding. I've been learning machine learning since Feb this year. I've been enrolled in a 1-year program, a postgraduate program with Purdue University. Now, how they define machine learning is the use of inferential statistics to extract intelligence, which can be logic or predictions, out of historic data. Historic data is very important because without historic data, there cannot be any machine learning. Using data mining algorithms such as regression, classification, clustering, and statistical formulae of mean square error, mean absolute error, and Q-learning for testing and reinforcement purposes. There are 4 broad types of machine learning. One is classical, the other reinforcement, then ensemble learning, and deep learning. I think this workshop is primarily focused on classical, ensemble, and a bit of deep learning. Reinforcement learning, I'm not too sure whether we are going to touch upon this at the end or not. However, for most of our purposes, even classical and ensemble should be enough. As long as you have simple and clear data features, classical ML will give you results as good as deep learning. However, sometimes we have very complex data and we do not understand the features that need to be extracted out of it. Then we go for deep learning. And sometimes it is very difficult to come up with quality data regardless of the problem. In that case, we go with ensemble learning, which uses boosting techniques and bagging techniques to give you a good generalized model for the problem at hand. Classical machine learning is a good baseline. It's very fast and easy to learn. It's easy to implement. The project cost is nominal, free for most users. It is suitable for most problems when you have plenty of data. And 95% of regression-based problems where the output has to be a continuous numerical value. It's not classification that classifies blue or red. It is a number you need to come up with, like what should be the price of this house depending on the local resale values or the local crime rates. So 95% of regression-based problems can be handled by classical ML algorithms, which you should be able to handle within the first few days of this workshop. Why is it important to learn machine learning? You have better job prospects and higher pay. You have a differential skill set from other people in your cohort. You get unique insights into how the modern digital economy works. You have an increased understanding of problems because you can extract features with the use of machine learning. It can help you derive features that you never thought were important for your problem, and effective solutions to problems we've been facing for the longest of times. Netflix has been around for a good decade now. Netflix has an open offer that they will pay $1 million to anybody who can improve their algorithm's accuracy by 10%. Now, a way to practice your ML skills after this workshop would be log on to kaggle.com, create a free account. There are tons of data sets and there are tons of teachers and practical hands-on modules over there. You can go through them, win those competitions, make a name for yourself in the machine learning world, and also make some money out of it. Now, for mechanical engineers, ML can be used for predictive maintenance, demand forecast, process optimization, and better simulations, because establishing correlation between your simulations and the real world is very important, and ML can help you do that very easily. For electrical engineers, power usage analytics, smart grid management, energy supply optimization, carbon emission trading, which is not very common here in India, but in Western economies, carbon emission trading is very popular. Data processing for renewable sources, when to use what renewable source to get the least carbon footprint and the maximum optimized energy supply. Civil engineering, failure prediction in buildings, seismic data processing for high-risk earthquake-prone areas, material utilization, scheduling and project timeline optimization, and inventory planning. Basically, machine learning can help you crunch a lot of large data sets into meaningful information. Electronics and communication, smart IoT devices such as your Amazon Alexas, etc., are coming to the forefront. Also, health devices which help you in disease identification. Popularly, you know that the Apple Watch can detect heartbeat irregularity, and using that data and some ML algorithms on top of that, they can let you know whether you need to visit a heart specialist or not. Signal-based testing, computer vision hardware, and self-driving technology is primarily the forte of electronics and communication engineers. Computer science and IT is sort of a culmination of everything. They are at the back end of machine learning and artificial intelligence in general. So their list is quite long. I just included a few important ones. A beautiful solution provided for machine learning engineers is machine learning as a service. So a lot of cloud platforms like Amazon Sage and Microsoft Azure and IBM Watson are offering these services free of cost. And even if you go for the paid programs, they're very nominal and you can crunch terabytes and terabytes of data to help assist you with your problems. Now, it is also important to understand what machine learning can do and cannot do. It can forecast, it can memorize large data, it can reproduce results, and it can choose the best item between a given set. It cannot create something new. It cannot get smart very fast. It cannot go beyond the task it was designed for, and it definitely cannot kill humans. I thank everyone present today for being here and taking time out. I hope the students maximize this opportunity. It's a 15-day workshop, and you have around 2 to 3 hours of work every day. Please practice after those sessions. Don't just attend the sessions and forget about it. This is a key skill you need for jobs of the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dimple ma'am. I think we can carry on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Basically, you discussed very basic but very important topic related to ML. And so we are very happy and fortunate to have such young personality and very keen to learn and new things and technology in our college. Now, I would like to invite Professor Dhirendra Mathur, sir, to have to say a few words regarding this. Professor Mathur, over to you, sir. Sir, you are not audible. Yeah.
Now is it okay?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank management of GIT for hosting this very important 15 days short-term program, I would say, through which the students will be learning the practical approach of machine learning. Although, thanks to Namanji for a very technical start of the event. Although I do not belong to machine learning area, but I do agree that that present day and in days in future we are going to talk about everything digital, and therefore the role of all these new technologies of machine learning, deep learning, and programming language like Python and many other upcoming new languages, it becomes important. And the students who are having the skill of these new languages, they will become more employable, and that is how the life is going to be in future. And I'm also thankful to my colleague Dr. Harish Sharma, who is also Nodal Officer Academics in TechCube 3, for taking the initiative and planning for this online learning platforms, online webinars under TechCube 3, because now it's not it's going to be difficult for us to think of the learning meetings in physical mode. Therefore, we have to be online for the next 3, 4, 5 months to come, and every activity is going to be online. And I'm really, I feel very good that our TechCube 3 team is taking initiative, and all the affiliating colleges are also coming forward to hosting many events under TechCube 3. I also welcome, and also I would like to thank all the resource persons, all the experts who will be joining in this 15 days short-term program, and they will also teach, and they will also give skills to the participants to learn the Python language and many other aspects of machine learning. I think today, Madam Kusum Bharti is here, who will be starting the event, and I thank you, Madam, for sparing the time and from your busy schedule and accepting the invitation. I once again welcome all the participants who are joining this short-term program. I also thank all the management of GIT, organizing team, everyone, on behalf of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, on behalf of RTU, on behalf of myself, and wish a great success to this event. Thank you very much. Over to you, Madam.
Thanks a lot, sir. Now I would like to invite Ms. Kusum Bharti for a valuable suggestion and for starting the session. Ms. Kusum Bharti.
Audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible but not visible.
Okay. Basically, here we are having power fitness, so I have connected through mobile, so that's why I kept it off.
Okay, ma'am.
So, good morning to all of you, and thank you so much for this giving this chance to share this machine learning with all of you. And in today's class, we start with the very basic introduction of your machine learning, and what are the terms which we are going to use in the machine learning, and then we will move further for your clustering, specific branches of your machine learning, like your supervised learning, unsupervised learning. So these two things we are going to cover in more detail. And as a in terms of your practical implementation, so for that we are going to use Python. So we will start in that way. Thank you. So can I start with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am, definitely, ma'am.
Okay. My slides are visible to you?
No, ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Now it's visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
So again, once again, good morning to all of you. So in today's class, basically we are going to cover the machine learning in more detail. But before starting with your machine learning part, first we will go through what the artificial intelligence is and what this machine learning is in brief. In the first part, we are only going to cover this brief introduction related to all these things. Then we are going to cover the machine learning, and after that, we will have a brief idea about the deep learning. For deep learning, you are having the separate session, so I'm not going to cover much detail about the deep learning. I will continue with this machine learning part. So the first thing is why means instead of just directly covering your machine learning part, why we are starting with the introduction or the basic introduction related to artificial intelligence and other deep learning part. Basically, all whenever you go with the machine learning, so you will have this means you will find these terms like your artificial intelligence and deep learning. So that's why first we will start with this artificial, and then we will move towards your deep learning. Okay. Now, before moving to the much detail of that, so the outline of this talk is going to be first we are going to cover the inclusion of your AI versus ML and your DL. DL, that basically AI is your artificial intelligence. Next, your machine learning and your deep learning. So first we will cover the basic introduction of your artificial intelligence. Next, we will go through the evolution of your artificial intelligence. Next, we cover the fields which are related to your artificial intelligence, stages of your artificial intelligence, and then we will move further with your deep learning, machine learning, and next we will summarize. We will conclude whatever we have covered in this talk. Okay. So this like from this figure, you can clearly visualize that the artificial intelligence is the broad umbrella. In that umbrella, you are having the deep learning, and in deep learning, you are having in this broad umbrella, you are having the machine learning, and in machine learning, you are having the deep learning. So basically, this deep learning is a subset of your machine learning, and this machine learning is a subset of your artificial intelligence. So this is the hierarchy for your artificial intelligence, machine learning, and your deep learning. Now the next thing is when this terms was coined first and who have coined these terms first. So this artificial intelligence, this was coined in 1956, and that was coined by John McCarthy. Next, this machine learning term was coined by the author Somel in 1959, and this deep learning was coined in 1986. That is by Rina. So different authors have means a different at different time span. These all three terms were invented, or these terms were introduced. Okay. Now what this artificial intelligence is, so basically in case of your artificial intelligence, basically here machine is trying to mimic the human behavior, the as human is working, or as human is thinking, doing the work, the same way the machine is also going to behave. Now in case of your machine learning, so basically with your machine learning we are trying to achieve the artificial intelligence. Okay, so this artificial intelligence is your system, and through machine learning we are trying to build that system. So in machine learning, it's basically provide the ability to the system so that it can learn from the data, and based upon the learning from the data, it could use that learning for the further means in future. Like suppose if I'm training my model, or if you can say if I'm preparing a system who with the lots of images, and in future if I'm going to some image, so based upon the knowledge which the system is having, based upon that knowledge it is going to categorize. So in machine learning we are doing this thing. Now, in case of the deep learning, so basically, this deep learning is basically inspired by the how the working is done in your brain. Means in your brain, we are having sets of the neurons, and that all the neurons are connected with each other, and through this connection only they are passing the information from one place to another place. Okay, so the same concept has been used in your deep learning. Okay, so that we will cover in the more detail in the coming slides. So I hope this part is clear. Artificial intelligence is your bigger term. Next, in the this we are having the machine learning. In machine we are having the deep learning. Okay, so basically this deep learning and machine learning, you can say it as a algorithm, and with that algorithm we are trying to achieve your artificial intelligence. Now this artificial intelligence, this term this as I this term is having two base words, like your artificial, and the next one is your intelligence. So what does artificial mean? So basically the artificial means the thing which is made by the human, and the non-natural things. So the all the things which are made by the human, or the things which are non natural, so that will cover that will come under in your artificial. Now, the intelligence basically means the ability to learn and understand the things, and based upon that understanding, using it for the further analysis. Like it could also be termed as like the intelligence is the basically the ability to gather the information and retain that information, so that it could be used in a future. So this whole artificial intelligence is the artificial ability to think, which we are trying to incorporate in a system. Okay, like the human, how human is behaving. Like for a particular situation, first the person is taking the situation, next performing some kind of the analysis on that situation, and based upon that analysis the he or she is trying to provide the solution. So the same thing we are trying to inbuilt in your machine. So here, instead of the human, the human is going to be replaced by the machine. So now here machine is going to adapt to the situation. The machine is going to perform some kind of the reasoning on that situation, and based upon that reason, based upon the experience which machine is having, based upon that the machine is going to provide the solution. So this is the task which we are going to do in your artificial intelligence. Okay, now this artificial, as I said, this artificial intelligence is that term was that term was coined in not it's this term is not the new one. This was coined in late in 1956. So at that time, in basically 1940 to 50, some researchers were basically exploring the possibility of creating the artificial brain. Okay, so based upon next we are going to see how how the possibility of building a system which can behave like a human, and now we are actually moving toward the system. So that the initial phase, the concept was just in a theoretical term. Now we are moving toward the practical one. So that we are going to see in the next slide. So this is not the complete year-wise history of your evolution of your artificial intelligence, but most of the thing I have tried to cover. So in 1950, Alan Turing basically he has expressed the possibility of creating the machine that can think. And in the consecutive year, in the 1951, a computer program is created which is able to play game. So the first artificial intelligence based program, the artificial based intelligence system was developed, and that too for your game in 1951. As I also covered in the first slide itself, this artificial intelligence term was introduced in 1956, and that was introduced by computer scientists, and the name of the computer scientist was John McCarthy. In the consecutive year 1959, the first artificial intelligence lab was established at MIT. After that, during that time, everyone was thinking that any problem we could solve using this artificial intelligence. So many fundings were there, so many supports, the so many supports researcher were getting to build a system. But after some point of the time, they were realized that it is not possible, means based upon the current resources whatever they were having at that time, based upon the current resources, it is not possible to deal with all kind of the problem. So that time the first winter of AI came, means, and that is your that was the quite long span, and it varies from 1974 to 1983. In the consecutive years there was little much improvement in that, but it means, but the not but with not that much growth, which means the growth was not that much with which concept it was started earlier. Okay. Now in the 1996, basically the IBM has made a game. IBM has made a system that the name of the system was Deep Blue, and this Deep Blue basically they basically developed for you playing the chess. So in 1996 there was there was a competition between the Deep Blue and the famous player of your chess at that time, Gary Kasparov. So the first game was won by the Deep Blue, but the whole series was won by the Gary Kasparov. So in the next year, means in 1997, the again IBM has launched this advanced version of your Deep Blue, and at that time the trophy was won by IBM Deep Blue. In 2005, there was a car racing competition was organized by DARPA, and at that time the autonomous robotics car, the name of the autonomous robotics car was Stanley, and that was developed by some of the student of the Stanford University. So this game was again won by the autonomous robotics car, and the name was the Stanley. In 2011, there were many development. The first development was your virtual assistant, like your Sri, which was developed by Apple. Cortana, that was developed by Microsoft. So that was basically related to your virtual assistant. And in the same year, 2011, the IBM Boston have developed a question answering machine, and that question answering machine has participated in Jeopardy game. So in this year itself, the machine which was developed by the IBM, that machine has won that game. So now you can see here, the first we have started with just the possibility of creating the machine who can behave like a human, and now from 1950 to year 2016 we are having a humanoid robot. So you can see how much means how much evolution we are able to observe in your artificial intelligence, and it's till year 2016 I have recorded, but there are many more development also, and it's still continue, it's still going on. So hope this evolution, the evolution of your artificial intelligence is clear to all of you. Okay, now if we formally define this artificial intelligence, so basically the artificial intelligence is the development of your computer system that is capable of performing the tasks that normally require human intelligence, like your decision, identification of any object, or solving complex problems. So all these ability we are trying to incorporate in your artificial intelligence system. Now, if we talk about the discipline and the application area which are related to your artificial intelligence, so this artificial intelligence is not related to, it's not only related to your computer science. Here you are having here it is incorporating the knowledge of mathematics, logic, robotics, linguistic, biology, neurology. So it's a basically combination here. In case of artificial intelligence, it's a basically the combination of your different discipline. And now, as it's the combination of the different discipline, here we are also having the different application related to your artificial intelligence, like your voice recognition, natural language processing, your autonomous robotics car, or the speech understanding. So these are some of the application which I have listed here, but there are many more application related to artificial intelligence. Now, if we cover this artificial types of your artificial intelligence, so basically there are three types of your artificial intelligence. So the first one, your artificial narrow intelligence or your weak intelligence. So why it is known as your narrow intelligence or weak intelligence? Because the system has been designed to deal with your specific task, or you can say it as the system has been designed to tackle one kind of the problem. So that's why this kind of the system is known as your artificial narrow intelligence or your weak artificial intelligence. Like here I have listed some of the example, like in case of a spam filter. So the system which you have designed, it is only able to filter your spam email. It is not able to work for the other problem, but it is efficiently going to work for your filtering of your spam. Next, if we take the example of your self-driving car, so this is specifically designed for the driving, not for the other task. If we go extreme right of the screen, so here there is a recommendation system. So now based upon the previous history of the users, the system is going to recommend either it could be related to your clothes, it could be related to your books, it could be related to your electronics item. Now the based upon the whatever the history the person is having, based upon that history the system is going to recommend something. So in all of the cases, as you can see, is all the system was defined or designed for a specific task. So that's why this is known as your artificial narrow intelligence, and we are broadly going to fall into this category only. Next one is your artificial general intelligence, or a strong artificial, or your deep artificial intelligence. So in this case, the machine is going to behave same as a human. That means the machine is going to mimic the human intelligence. So this is a part of your artificial general intelligence. So that means in case of your narrow intelligence, the machine is quite below than the human, and in case of your artificial general intelligence, both are at the same level. In Japan, this Fujitsu basically built a K computer that was quite fast and able to deal with a quite large amount, means variety of the problem. But this was the notable attempt to achieve it. It's not totally fall into a strong AI, but it was means it's moving towards to achieve the strong AI, but it's not exactly the strong AI. And next one is your artificial super intelligence. So this artificial super intelligence is going to behave means it's going to be far better than the human. So in your first stage, the in the first stage, like suppose if we draw it, so like suppose this is human and this is the machine. So the label is like this one. So means, human is quite better than the machine for a specific task. The machine could be better, but if we see in whole, the human is going to be better. In case of your second category, that was your, this is with your narrow AI, narrow. And next one is your strong AI. So in case of your strong AI, the human and the machine both are going to be at the same way. That means the machine is going to behave in the same way the human are working. Now, in case of your artificial super intelligence, the scenario is going to be quite different. Now it's going to be the just reverse of the first one. So that means now the machine at going to behave quite far more better than the human. So this is this. So just to conclude this part, I have included this next slide. So first we have started with your artificial intelligence. So that is going to be your that is going to be focused on a specific task. And in case of your artificial general intelligence, so that is going to behave same as a human, and in case of a artificial super intelligence, it is going to behave far more better than your human. So currently we are at this stage, we are at your artificial narrow intelligence, and we are moving towards this artificial general intelligence. It's quite far, but means we are going to achieve in, possibly we are going to achieve in the coming future. So these are the some of the AI based project, like your this all of you know this this is a humanoid robot, and the name of the humanoid robot is the Sophia. This also we have seen, like your self driving car, means the car is going to drive it by its own. And this you can see, it's your means whenever you are typing anything on a Google, so it is going to recommend something. So how this recommendation is happening, so this is also based because of your AI based technique. So all these are different example which comes under in your AI based projects. And now, as I said, this AI is not specifically related to the one area. Here, the AI is having the application in your medical, also it is also having the application in your computer vision also. So means AI is able to cover each and every dimension which we can think of. Okay. Now, next, moving towards you, this was the just the introduction related to your artificial intelligence. Next, we are moving towards the machine learning part. So, this machine learning part, first we will cover this in means first we will cover what this learning is, and then we will move towards your machine learning. So this is the just a cheat chart. You can see that here the machine learning is also having the application in your autonomous system. It is having the application in your healthcare. It is having the application in industry also, and this machine learning could, for the machine learning we are having different tools. We are having the different programming language in which you can implement your in which you can implement your algorithm. Now, first let's cover what this learning is. Now, suppose if I'm showing this picture, so you can easily identify what this picture is actually explaining, or what the picture is all about. So this right hand side picture is your Taj Mahal, and this picture is related to the picture which is the related to your Ajanta Cave. So how you are identifying? Basically we are able to identify it because somewhere somehow we have interacted with this picture, or in or we can say we have physically interacted with this picture, this first one or in the second one also. So now based upon that interaction, we have kept this information in your mind consciously, or it could be unconscious also. So we have kept this information in the mind, and as we are having this information in our mind, so based upon that we are able to clearly identify what this picture is. Means this is related to your Taj, and this is related to your Ajanta cave. Now, the origin of the machine learning basically lies in very efforts of understanding the intelligence. So, if we define this intelligence, so basically this intelligence is the ability to comprehend. It is the ability to understand and profit from the experience. So, the profit from the experience, that means basically we are going to whatever we are acquiring, means day to day life, we are all the time we are acquiring some knowledge, and we as I said, consciously or unconsciously we are going to capture this information in our mind. So whenever we require, we are going to use that information. So this is the profit from your experience. And this intelligence also can be described a capability to acquire and apply. That I said, like the knowledge which we are getting today, possibly it's not going to be useful for the current situation, but possibly we are going to use in the near future. So, and in day to day life we are having this means we are all the time we are getting that knowledge. Now this learning concept is also not the new concept that was coined in means quite long back in 2300 years ago. At that time there was a the name of the author was Plato, and that was between 427 to 347 BC. He has given the concept that the whatever we are encountering, this encountering is having the connection with your past. That encountering is having the connect means mystic connection you are having with your past. So this we can relate it as like the how newly born child is able to recognize his or her mother, because of their past connection. Because of their past connection, he or she is the child is able to recognize his or her mother. So he said that whatever we are knowing, whatever we are means whatever knowledge, whatever things we are having today, this all the things are related to your past. This all things is having the mystic connection with your world. So because of that mystic connection, we are able to know the things. So now we can here argue that so it's not possible to learn new things, like means if we are not having the mystic connection, so that means we are not going to get the new thing. So this was the drawback, or you can say this point was missing with the concept which Plato has given. And this concept was addressed by student of the Plato, and the name of the student was the Aristotle. So at that time he means he basically introduced the concept of the learning. So he said that although we are having the connection with your past, but we are also able to acquire the knowledge based upon your current experience, also based upon your current situation, also you are going to learn it. So this learning was basically given by them. The mystic connection was given by Plato, and the learning concept was given by Aristotle. So now if we formally define this machine learning part, so basically as we have already seen, this machine learning is a subset of your artificial intelligence technique. And in that in your machine learning, basically we are going to use some statistical method, and that statistical method basically going to learn from the data, and based upon the learning it is also going to improve it. Means whatever knowledge the whatever the data the system is going to get, going to proceed. So with that data with that data also it is going to improve itself. Now this definition of the learning is given by Mitchell in 1997. He said that a computer program is set to learn from experience E with respect to some class of task T and performance measure P. So if the performance at a task T as measured by P improve with the experience, that means if the computer program is able to improve through the experience, then only it will come under your machine learning part. Now, what could be the task? Like here, what terms we have used? We have used this term experience, we have used this term task, and we have used this term performance measure. So next, we are going to see what could be your experience, what could be your task, and what could be your performance measures. So first is your task. Task could be anything, like translation of your any sentence to the another language, one language to the another language, the identification of your disease, face recognition. So task could be anyone. I mean, task could be anything. So next one is the performance measure. Now, based upon the what kind of the task you are processing, based upon that task, you will have different sets of the performance measure. So that also we will cover what could be your performance measure and how we could use to check how your algorithm is going to behave. Basically, this performance measures is related with your machine learning. Like suppose if I have created a model. Now once I have created the model, I need to test how the model is going to behave. So that testing basically we are doing with your performance measure. So that we will see in more detail how means what are the different performance measures which we can use to test how the algorithm is behaving. Now next one is your experience. So basically this experience we are providing to our model in terms of the data, and how the model is going to take that data. So there are different way. It could be your supervised, it could be unsupervised. Supervised, that means along with the data, I'm also going to provide the class level. So my model is going to adjust based upon the data, based upon the features which we are providing, and along with this, it is also going to use the class level information. So if this is the case, then it's going to be a supervised. And in the reverse way, you're just supplying your data, and based upon the data, whatever the characteristic your data is having, if the learning is going to be based upon the characteristic of the data, so then it is going to be unsupervised. So that also we will cover in more detail. Now let's cover this one example. So the task, performance, and training will be more clear. I mean, training experience will be more clear. So the task is like here, what we want is, we want handwriting recognition. We want to do handwriting recognition. Okay. So here the task is, we want to recognize and classify handwritten words, which is there in your image. So this task is to recognition of your words. Now the performance measure, that means like we are having hundreds of the words, and out of that 100, this could be one of the performance measures. So we are having 100 of the words. So out of this 100 words, how many you have identified correctly? So this is going to be your performance measure. And in terms of the experience, as I said, in terms of the experience, basically we are going to provide, say, lots of data. So that is going to provide the experience, that is going to cover the term experience. So here we are going to provide a database. In that database, you will have different, means you will have lots of the words, lots of handwritten words. So based upon that data, we are going to build the model. And once we are done with the building of the model, next we are going to check how your model is behaving, and that we are going to do in terms of your performance measures. So this is the general workflow of your machine learning. So basically in your words that I'm covering with respect to your supervised one. So in your supervised, we are having two parts: your training part and your testing part. Training part, that means basically in training part we are building a system, and once you have done with your building part, so now you are having a model, and that model basically we are going to use to predict the class level, or whatever the task is, we are going to perform that task. Like suppose the task is the identify, means the task is to identify the person is having is COVID positive or not. So what we will doing in case of a machine, then what we will do is, first I will provide the list of the data. In that data you will have different person you will have characteristic of the person, and you will also have the class level. So like suppose the identify whether the person is a positive or negative. So here the class level is going to be the positive and negative, and that to be associated with each of the instances. Okay, so this data we are going to provide. Now here at this part, here at this part, you are going to apply some different machine learning algorithm. Now that here you are having the number of the machine learning algorithm. Like suppose we are going to use the logistic regression. Logistic regression is basically used for your classification problem. So here I'm going to use this logistic regression, and based upon that logistic regression, I will have some model. I will have this model. Now, next what we will do in training phase only, what I will do is I am going to test how the created model is working. Like suppose the model is having the performance, like it's only giving me accuracy of 40%. That means out of 100 instances, it is able to classify 40 instances as a correctly. So this is not the good number. So what I will do is, again I will adjust the sum of the parameters of my model, and based upon that adjustment I'm going to create my next model. So this is going to be the improved one. So now suppose if in that case, suppose if I'm getting 60, again if I'm not satisfied, so again I'm going to repeat this process. Okay, till the point I'm not satisfying with your with the result which you are getting. So once you are done with your, once you have received some satisfactory results, so now you are having this trained model. So now you have deployed this model. So at your you can say customer side, here what we are going to do is we are going to supply some unseen data, and for this unseen data we are not having the class level information. So now my model is going to predict its class. Like suppose it could be a positive, because it could be a positive or it could be a negative. Like for this case we are having two classes only, so it could be a positive also or it could be a negative also. So the class could be, so the problem could be a binary class classification problem. Binary class classification, that means you are going to have two classes, and it could be a multi-class classification problem. So that means more than two classes will be there. Now these are the branches of your machine learning. So the first one is your supervised learning, next one is the unsupervised learning, and again the next one is your reinforcement learning. So in case of your supervised learning, as I said, in case of a supervised learning, here what you are going to do is you are going to provide the class level information along with your data. Now once you are providing the class level information, so the model is going to adjust itself based upon your data and based upon your class level information. Okay, so this is your supervised learning. In case of your unsupervised learning, here we are not providing any class level information. Based upon the whatever information is present in your data, whatever information is present in your data, based upon that information only the model is going to means this the here it is going to perform. Like here in this case, the processing was done based upon your input and your based upon the class, based purely going to be based upon your data only. Now in case of your reinforcement learning, so like in case of your reinforcement learning, it is going to learn based upon the interaction with your environment. So that we will see how it is doing. So the supervised, this also we have covered. Like in case of a supervised learning, we are going to provide the data. Along with that, we are going to provide the class level information. With these two combination, we are going to prepare the model. Like suppose we can take it as, like suppose we are having this A for a apple, this orange, we are having this these are the name of your fruits. Okay, so in case of your supervised learning, so here I will, this is your, suppose this is your class label. So what I am going to do is I am going to provide this information, like it's your x and this is your y is suppose representing your class level information. So in your class here I am going to have this a, and for this suppose the information is your x1, for example. Now you are having next instant x2, next you are having instance x3, next you are having instance x4. So likewise you are having different instances, and with respect to each instance you are going to have the class level. So in your machine learning model, what we are going to do is we are going to supply this information. We are going to supply this. We are going to supply each of these instances and this class level, and your machine is going to adjust itself based upon this. So here your input is going to be, here your input is going to be your data. Along with that, the input is going to be your class level. And based upon that, it is going to build a model. So what this learning algorithm is doing here, basically the learning algorithm is providing one function which is going to help you to map your input to your output. So this learning algorithm is providing a function which is going to help you to map this input to your output. So this thing we can also see in the next. So here what we are doing is, here we are supplying some sample along with your class label. So these all are your samples. Now next we are going to Next, we are going to build the model, and that building of the model is going to be based upon your particular machine learning algorithm. So it's going to be based upon your machine learning algorithm. Now, once you are done with your, like, suppose this is your training phase. So suppose in this training phase, so like once you are done with your model building, next you are supplying some instance in order to check how it is behaving. Now you are going to compare it. If you are having very large difference, means you are having the classification is not that much accurate, so again I am going to adjust the model based upon that adjustment. Again I am going to perform this prediction, again going to calculate this error. So this process is going on till we are satisfied with the performance of the model. So once you are satisfied with your performance of the model, so the output of this whole process is going to be your model only. So whatever things you are going to do here, the output of this is going to be your model. So in that model, it is basically going to provide the mapping of your input to your output. So if I'm supplying some, suppose if I'm supplying some instance xk, for example, so it is going to map through this function, it is going to map this xk into yk. Suppose the yk is the class label, so it is going to map into your yk. So this way your supervised learning algorithm is working. So basically in case of a supervised learning, what we are basically doing here, we are basically adjusting the parameters. What term we are doing the learning. So basically the adjustment of the parameters basically going to be a learning part. Now, in case of a supervised learning, there are means we can do two type means we can perform two type of tasks. First one is your classification, and next one is your regression. So, in case of a classification, whether it's your classification problem or whether it's your regression problem, in both the cases, you are going to feed data as well as you are going to feed the class label information. Both the cases, as these two are only the part of your supervised learning, so in both the cases we are going to feed the data and you are also going to feed the class level information. Now in the main difference between your classification and your regression is, in case of your in case of a classification, the class label is going to be discrete, and in case of your regression it is going to be a continuous. So the what the meaning is, like the classification is like the person is having, the person is positive, means the person is having disease or not having disease. That means the presence of a disease or not a means presence of a disease or absence of the disease. So here the class label is your in a form of yes, no, positive, negative, 0, 1. So here you are having the discrete class label. In case of a regression, instead of having the discrete class label, you will have the continuous value as a class label. Like suppose you are having the information related to your house, and you want to sell that house. So in that case, what will be your class? Your class is going to be the price, and the price is your continuous. So this is the main difference between a classification and regression. So again repeating, in case of a classification, the class label is going to be going to be a discrete one, and in case of a regression, the class label is going to be the continuous. So we will see both these examples in more detail. So these are the some of the algorithms which is used for the regression. These sets of the algorithms used for the regression, and these sets of the algorithm basically used for your classification. So basically we are going to cover in more detail classification, regression, and your polynomial regression. This logistic regression we will cover in more detail, and this season 3 also we are going to cover. Next one is your unsupervised machine learning. So basically, in case of your unsupervised machine learning, you are not providing the class label information. So this unsupervised learning is also known as your learning by experience, and your supervised learning is known as a learning by example, because in case of a supervised learning you are having someone to train you, but in case of your unsupervised learning, this learning you are doing by your own. So in case of unsupervised, you are not having the class level. So whatever information you are having in your data set, based upon that information, you are going to perform your task. So in case of your unsupervised learning, we are having the classification, we are having the dimension reduction task, and we are having the association rule one. So basically, in case of your clustering, what we are doing is whatever information we are having based upon the intrinsic characteristic of the data, we are going to form a groups. So like here you can see, like the first here you can see is you are having the different kinds of the shape and different kinds of the colors, different kind of the colors also. So now my clustering algorithm, what it is going to do is, based upon the information which is present in all data, based upon that information, it is going to create the clusters. So cluster, that means now here in this case, all these elements or all these instances will have same kind of property. In this case, all the elements is going to have the same kind of the property. So based upon the some common characteristic, it is going to create the group. So this thing we are doing in case of your clustering. Now, in case of your association rule mining, so basically this concept is majorly used in your market basket analysis, where our task is to now based upon the transaction history of all the customer, we are going to identify which of the items are bought together, so that they could place all together, and the selling of these product could be enhanced further. So this thing we are going to cover in case of your association rule. Next one is your dimension reduction. So basically, in case of a dimension, like whenever we are representing any instance, so sometimes it is not like that. All of the features which we were having in the original space, the all feature is going to explain the concept very well. Some of the features might be the redundant ones, some of the features might be the noisy ones. So instead of positively contributing in the classification or whatever task we are doing, so instead of contributing positively, it may affect negatively also. Or if it is not doing so, if you are using very large number of the features, so in that case, it is also going to increase the time complexity of your model. So in order to deal with this issue, we are having the dimension reduction method. So in case of a dimension reduction method, what we are doing is we are mapping the original feature space to the some lower dimensional space, and we are performing this mapping in such a way that it should able to retain the it should able to retain the important information which is present in your original space. Like suppose if you are having hundreds of the features, and the dimension reduction could be like selecting one features, but it is quite difficult to have one feature, and with that one feature you are going to cover all the concepts. So your dimension reduction should not be like that. Means it should reduce the dimension, but not that much like you are going to lose most of the information. You should reduce the dimension by retaining most of the information. So this is the major task with your dimension reduction. Now, in your clustering, we are having here. I have mentioned some of the clustering algorithm, but the list is quite large. So the clustering algorithm, we are having k-mean clustering algorithm, hierarchical clustering is also there, DB scan is also there, bridge clustering is also there. And in case of a priori algorithm, we are having association rule mining, we are having a priori algorithm, FP growth algorithm, elect algorithm. In case of a dimension reduction, PCA, principal component analysis, latent discriminant analysis. So these are your dimension reduction methods. So whatever names I have listed here, these are not the complete list. Some of the methods I have listed out here. Okay. Now next come to your reinforcement learning. So in case of your reinforcement learning, basically your system is going to learn based upon the environment. Like suppose it's like you can relate it very easily. Like you are explaining rules and regulation, like you are explaining the system rules and regulation to play a game. But how to play the game, that you are not explaining. So the system is based upon the interaction with the environment. it is going to learn like that this move I should take or not, that move I should take or not. So based upon the trial and error, it is going to learn the way how I should take it. So this is your reinforcement learning. As I said, based upon the interaction with the environment, it is going to be here. Your agent is basically the system is going to be here. Now, in case of your deep learning, so like in your, as I said, in case of your 1997, IBM has developed this game Deep Blue, and that was programmed. That was programmed to for your chess playing. Okay, so this was explicitly programmed for that task. In 2017, another system was developed, and the name of the system was AlphaGo, and that was not programmed explicitly to play the game. Okay, so from explicit programming, now we are moving toward the automated one. And here in this automated one, deep learning was used to design this AlphaGo. This deep learning is basically the subset of your machine learning. Subset of your machine learning. And as I said, this deep learning is basically inspired by the functionality of your brain cells, how the cell in your brain is working, how they are transferring the information from one place to the another place. Based upon that transformation of the knowledge, how it is going to take the decision. So based upon that concept, your deep learning is only going to work. Like in case of your deep learning, what basically we are going to do is we are going to train our system, we are going to build our system with lots of image. So now based upon the image, the my system is automatically going to learn the features, and that feature means that learning they are going to store. And once we are supplying some new image, so now based upon the information which the system has kept in these things, in these layers, based upon that information, it is going to categorize the image which you are supplying as a input. This is the another application where the deep learning has been used. So basically here the deep learning has been used to multi means in an image identify each and every part of the image. Like here you are having the sofa, here you are having the table, here you are having car, here the person is moving, here dog is moving. So just to label each and every part of your image, each and every segments of the image, the deep learning has been used. Now the this Google Lens is also using your deep learning concept, and this face recognition, which we are having in case of your Facebook. So that is also implemented based upon your deep learning. Deep learning is not only for the searching or for your tagging. It has application in your security also, media also, internet, medicine, everywhere you are having the application. In every dimension, this deep learning has been explored. Okay. Now, if we conclude this artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning part, so basically, in case of your artificial intelligence, we are trying to build a system which is going to behave like a human. And in order to achieve this, we are going to use this machine learning and your deep learning. The main difference between your machine learning and deep learning is here you are going to supply the features. The system is not going to learn the feature by itself. Here you are going to supply sets of the features. And in case of a deep learning, here the learning of the feature is also going to be the automated part. It means the learning of a feature is going to be the automated part of the system. So it's more means this deep learning is moving means making us more closer to the artificial intelligence, because here some kind of the automated learning is there for your feature. But in case of your machine learning, we need to supply these features manually. And now based upon that supply feature, it is going to log this is going to be the automated, but the here you needed to supply the sets of the features. These are the some sets of the tools and some sets of the programming languages which you can use to implement your deep learning and your machine learning tools. Just to summarize what we have covered, we have started with the basic introduction of your artificial intelligence, machine learning, and your deep learning. How this machine learning and deep learning are connected with your artificial intelligence. Next, we have covered the different stages of your artificial intelligence, like your narrow intelligence, general intelligence, and your super intelligence. Next, we have seen different area where this AI found its application. Next, we have covered machine learning, different branches of your machine learning, some basic idea about the supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Next, we have covered this deep learning and where this deep learning could be used. And next, finally, we have summarize this whole presentation with your difference between artificial intelligence, machine, and your deep learning. And these are the some of sets of the tools which we can use, some of the programming language in which you can implement your deep learning model and your machine learning model. So that's all from my side. So if any of you is having any questions, so please ask. If the concept like you supervised or unsupervised means how the system are working, if these concepts are not clear, so in the coming class it's going to be clear, because in that we are going to cover this elementary concept in more detail.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable presentation. Now we will join again the session at 10:30. The session will be 15 minutes late, so we will start 10:45. Sorry, 10. Okay, 10:45. It is okay, ma'am.
Yes, of course.
Okay.